If you're looking for anything to increase your trigger control, anytime, anywhere, it's the dry practice.
This is a great drill to do, all right? This is done dry, so no live ammunition, all right? So Justin cleared the fire round again to make sure it's clear and empty. You'll all do this. So what Justin's gonna do, he's gonna get his good stance, all right? He's gonna get his good two-handed grip, send the slide forward, all right? What he's gonna do is he's going to aim in at the wall, all right? What this allows him to do is focus on his sights. Remember I talked about in the classroom, our sights, lining them up? This allows him to focus on his front sight only.
I cannot stress enough the importance of dry fire practice. The beauty of dry fire practice is free, and you can do it at home. Make sure, before you start your dry fire practice, you go through those 4 safety rules and the steps to ensure that you are being as safe as possible before you do this, especially in the aspect of knowing the status of the weapon. It has to be clear and safe before you do this. Make sure you check, double check, triple check to ensure the gun is in the status you need it to be in, which is empty for this. Dry practice is the most important practice that you can do to really get a sense and understanding of trigger control.
Now, here's the thing. You want to keep those sights lined up perfectly across. If Justin adds additional movement to that front sight as he presses the trigger, watch his gun right here. Saw how much it moved downwards, right? I believe his sight took off and fell down. So the whole key to shooting is manipulating that trigger to the rear, like Justin's gonna do, without adding additional movement to that front sight. That's the secret to shooting. Don't tell anybody I told you.
Rockstar, roadies. If you let the roadies get in on the act, they will every time. That's how our hands work. Again, I can't think of any other body mechanic or function that I do with my hand where I do this and then make this one move independently. It's not intuitive. It's something that has to be trained. If I let my hand do what it wants to do, instead of just this happening, it's this. I don't want that to happen. The secret to shooting is simply pulling the trigger from front to rear without disrupting your sight alignment. The problem with doing that on the range and live fire is that once I do that with a real bullet, that bang inevitably will disrupt my senses and my ability to actually focus in on what's important, which is that trigger manipulation, that slow, deliberate process of pulling the trigger from front to rear while managing my sight alignment. The best possible way to train your body how to do this is without any bullets in the gun. If I allow this guy to think he's the rock star too, he will sympathetically want to do the same thing, and that will manifest itself in this. Watch the front sight post. That's enough to miss the target at 3 yards. This guy needs to be stuck underneath here with the rest of the roadies. I'm squeezing enough so that I don't have any slack in them. They're not grabbing the whole gun as I press the trigger. I've disconnected this guy, but I have enough fluidity in him to move quickly if I need to. That's where the problems start to arise. If you just grip the gun, it's very difficult for you to move that finger freely. If I hold the gun too loose, it's going to move too much in my hand. So I have to find a balance of what works for me.
What we don't want to see is this, all right? See how much he moved that gun and it fell off? That's what we want to avoid, all right? But this really reveals that. You could do this at home with a dime. Don't need empty shell casings, a dime. Just balance that right on the top of there and that'll show you a lot.
100 repetitions. The first 25 are painfully slow and deliberate. I'm analyzing everything that I'm doing, and I'm making sure I'm going at a process or a pace which I can process information and then make corrections if I need to. The next 25 repetitions are done a little bit faster, trying to see if I increase the speed, if that has any adverse effects on my ability to maintain sight alignment and to control the trigger. And then the next 25 are balls to the wall as fast as I can. So that brings me to 75 positive repetitions. The last 25, and this is important, I go back to that original slow, deliberate speed. The purpose of that is to remind myself what right feels like at a pace which I can process the information and make corrections. 100 repetitions, completely free, takes all of 10 minutes to do, but the value I get from that on the back end, second to none when it comes to dry practice and manipulating the trigger for handguns.